Hello friends and welcome to my new video. Today I will be talking once again about 10 underrated Hindi movies from 2000 and beyond. And this is the third series, the third episode of this underrated movie series that I'm doing. And these 10 movies again, I feel have not been given the kind of importance and the kind of attention that they deserve. The first movie I want to talk about is a 2004 movie called Being Cyrus. It's the directorial debut of Homi Adjania, and it stars Saif Ali Khan, Nasiruddin Shah, Dimple Kapadia, Boman Irani, Simone Singh. It's a story of this guy called Cyrus who walks into the dysfunctional Parsi family of Nasiruddin and his crazy wife Dimple Kapadia and other family members, and the events that take place within the family. The family, as I said, is highly dysfunctional, and each character has its own oddities and quirks, and which is what makes this movie a fascinating watch. It's a thriller, so there are lots of twists and turns, which eventually lead up to quite a shocking and surprising climax. But it's a wonderful, wonderful movie, Being Cyrus, and a great debut by Homi Adjania. Absolutely brilliant performances by almost everyone in the cast. And it's a must watch. In case you have missed Being Cyrus, do change that and watch this movie. It's available, I think, I've seen it on DVD, but it's available on YouTube and some of the OTT channels as well. It's a must watch, Being Cyrus. The next movie I want to talk about is another directorial debut. It's the debut of Konkona Sen Sharma as a director, and the film is A Death in the Ganj. A Death in the Ganj also had, I think, a limited theatrical release, but eventually ended up on the OTT channels, which is where I've seen the movie. And it is a wonderful film. It stars Vikrant Massey, Ranveer Shori, Om Puri, Tanuja in a small role, Kalki, Tilotoma Shom. And it is a fabulous movie. It's a movie set in the 1970s, and it's a story of this quiet, sensitive, gentle soul called Shutu, played by Vikrant Massey, and how he finds it difficult to adjust to other members of his family and friend circle, all of whom have gone for an outing outside the city. And it's the struggles of this young man, and his difficulty in communicating with others, in dealing with society in general, is what the movie is about, leading to quite a tragic consequence. But the movie is so beautifully directed, it's so sensitively handled by Konkona Sen Sharma, who in any case is such a brilliant actor. But if Death in the Ganj is anything to go by, she's an even better director. And it makes me want to, look out for her future releases as a director. Death in the Ganj is a beautiful movie. It's available on the OTT channels. Do watch it if you haven't. It's a great film. The next film I want to talk about is directed by Jaideep Chopra. It's a 2019 release, I think, called Ye Sali Ashiki. And it's produced by the family of Amrish Puri, the late Amrish Puri. And I think it stars his grandson, Fardhan Puri, in the lead role. Ye Sali Ashiki is actually quite the revelation, because it starts off as a simple love story and a sweet, charming, innocent love story. And as you keep watching the movie more and more, it gets darker and it gets more and more sinister, and there are some unexpected and shocking twists and turns that take place in the plot, leading to an absolutely fantastic climax. It's, as I said, it took me by surprise when I saw the movie for the first time, and I realized that this is a great movie. It's highly, highly underrated, and it's a must watch if you haven't seen it. Ye Sali Ashiki. Brilliant movie. The next movie I want to talk about came in 2019 as well, and I think this again was missed out by most people in general. It's a directorial. Sorry, it's made by Behzad Khambata, and it's the acting debut of Dimple Kapadia's nephew Karan Kapadia. It's also has Sunny Deol in a very important role, and the movie is called Blank. It's a thriller about this suicide bomber who has a live bomb strapped on his body, and that bomb acts as a trigger to 25 other bombs scattered across the city. And he is apprehended by the ATS chief, played by Sunny Deol. The only problem is they can't kill him because if he dies, it sets off all the other bombs. And if they try to pull the bomb out of his body, it again sets off all the bombs. So they don't know what to do with him. And to make matters worse, he's suffering from amnesia. So he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know why he has a bomb strapped on his body. And what happens thereafter is what the movie is about. It's a very well made thriller. It's very gripping, very taut, and it has a fabulous, fabulous climax. As I said, the movie didn't run at all. I think it ran for less than 7 days in the theaters before it got shifted to the OTTs. I saw this movie completely by chance on Hotstar, and I was glued on right till the end because it is a very well made thriller. Sadly missed by most people, but you can still watch it in one of the OTT channels. Blank, starring Karan Kapadia and Sunny Deol. Don't miss it. The next movie I want to talk about is a 2013 movie called Mazi, and this is another wonderful movie, sadly missed out by the majority of people. Mazi means is an Urdu word for the past, and true enough to its title, it talks about this young man who leads a very happy and content life with his wife and daughter in a small hill station in India. And a certain incident happens in his life which forces him to go back to his past life, which he had very well hidden from his wife and daughter and people in general. And how he faces the ghosts from his past and deals with them is what the story is about. It's a beautiful movie, wonderful performances, and it's a remake of an English movie called A History of Violence, which came out in 2005, I think. This is a remake of that movie, but it's very well adapted. It's very well Indianized, and on its own, it's a fantastic movie. Sadly, didn't get the kind of attention it deserves. But do watch the movie. I have seen this movie on YouTube. A good print exists on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's also available in one of the OTT channels, but it's definitely worth finding it. And do see it if you haven't. It's a great movie that has sadly been missed by most people. Mazi. The next movie again is a directorial debut of someone who's a very celebrated filmmaker today. It's a directorial debut in 2004 of Sriram Raghavan, and the movie is the fabulous Aaye Khasinathi, starring Urmila Matondkar and Saif Ali Khan. And I remember when I first saw this movie in 2004, It just shocked the living daylights out of me. It was an absolutely brilliant movie which I wasn't expecting, and it's the kind of thrillers I had not seen in Hindi cinema before this. It's one of the first of its kind, and a fabulous movie. Urmila had sort of proved herself as an actor by then, in some really, really great roles. But for me personally, the revelation in this movie was Saif Ali Khan. I mean, I used to look at Saif Ali Khan completely differently till I saw Ek Hasinathi, and it just made me take a closer look at him as an actor, and I thought he was brilliant in Ek Hasinathi. And it's one of the better thrillers made in Hindi cinema, Ek Hasinathi, and as a revenge drama, there have been very few movies like this on Indian screen. So if you are one of those few who have still missed Ek Hasina Thi, but have seen later works of Sri Ram Raghavan like Johnny Kaddar and Andhadhun and have been enthralled by them, do watch Ek Hasina Thi. This is where he started it all. And to me personally, it's still his best movie. Do watch it if you haven't. Ek Hasina Thi starring Urmila and Saif Ali Khan. Now, the next movie is a 2005 movie directed by Mahesh Manjrekar. And I must admit, I had missed seeing this movie. I had seen it once when it had first released, but it had sort of, I'd forgotten about it actually. And there were comments by a few of my friends on my earlier videos on underrated movies as to why I had not included this movie, which is what made me revisit this film a couple of days ago. And having seen it, I realized that it is one of the underrated gems of this century. It's a movie called Virud, starring Amitabh Bachchan, Sharmila Tagore, Sanjay Dutt, and John Abraham, directed by Mahesh Manjrekar. It's a wonderful film, and unlike some of Mahesh Manjrekar's other movies like Vastav, which get spoken about so much, so often, and so highly, Virud is often ignored. I wonder why, because it has a fabulous performance from Amitabh Bachchan. Thematically, I see a lot of similarity between Virud and Saransh, because they are people about parents trying to seek justice for their son's death. That thematically there is that similarity, but otherwise, on its own, Virud is a beautiful movie, and great performances by Amitabh Bachchan, Sharmila Tagore, even Sanjay Dutt in a smaller role, but he's very good as well. And it's one of the movies that sadly got ignored at the box office at the time of its release. But you must watch it. It's available on DVD. I've seen it on DVD. But I think it also might be available either on YouTube or one of the OTT channels. So do look out for it and watch it. It's a must watch. Virud, directed by Mahesh Manjrekar, starring Amitabh Bachchan. The next film is a 2017 movie starring one of my favorite actors of all time, Irfan. And it's a movie beautifully directed by Tanuja Chandra called Kareem Kareem Single. It has Parvati and Irfan in the lead roles. And it's this wonderful, endearing, heartwarming story of these two individuals, Jaya and Yogi, played by Parvati and Irfan. And they meet through a dating site, and they decide to embark upon this road journey, which is really a combination of delving into their pasts as well as getting to know each other. And it's a fabulous, fascinating journey across India, where these two go and meet some of the people from their pasts. And it's also a process of them getting to know each other and being drawn towards each other. Fabulous performance as expected by Irfan. Equally good performance by Parvati. And it's actually the performance and the chemistry between the lead pair, which makes this movie so watchable and so enjoyable. It's a must watch. I saw this movie on screen, but I don't think it did too well in terms of commercial performance. But it's available on the OTT channels, either on Netflix or on Prime, and you can definitely watch it there. But it's a must watch. Kareeb Kareeb single starring Irfan and Parvati. It's a must watch. The next movie I want to talk about is actually quite. It's quite an unusual movie in terms of its theme, because it tackles a theme which is not very often spoken about or discussed in Hindi movies, which is environmental pollution and environmental issues. It's a thriller tackling environmental pollution with a backdrop of politics, and it's called Erada. It is directed by Nishant Tripathi and Aparna Singh, and has Nasiruddin Shah, Arshad Varsi, Sagarika Ghatke, Divya Datta in the lead roles. To be honest, I really didn't know much about this movie when I first started seeing it, but it was mainly the star cast that attracted me. Nasiruddin, Arshad Varsi, Divya Datta. I knew this would be worth watching. And whilst watching the movie, I realized that it was quite unique in terms of the theme it tried to tackle, and it was quite unique because I'd never seen anything like this before in Hindi cinema. I must admit that the movie does get cliched at times, and it falls into a lot of these zones which we say, which we call cop outs. There are quite a few bits of that as well in this movie. So it's not a perfect film or an absolutely brilliant film or anything like that. But I think it's an extremely commendable effort, especially given the fact that it tackles a theme which is so new and so rare for Hindi cinema. And we keep saying that Hindi cinema has the same old things, and there's nothing new shown, same topic, same stories. This movie attempts something different, and I think it does a fair job of it. Sadly, been missed out by a majority of the people, but you can watch it and see for yourself that it is an attempt at making something different, and kudos to the director duo for attempting that. And I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good movie which definitely needs one watch, especially given the performance of the actors in the movie. I think Divya Datta won a national award in a supporting role for her performance in this movie, and she is, as always, brilliant, as is Nasiruddin Shah, and Arshad Varsi. So overall, I think it's a good movie which was sadly missed out by a large number of people. But you can change that by watching it on one of the OTT channels or YouTube, where this print is available. It's a movie worth seeing, Erada. I started my video talking about a Homi Ajania movie, being Cyrus. And the last film I want to talk about in today's video is also directed by Homi Ajania. And it's the brilliant Finding Fanny. It's a superb movie, and it's a road movie. It's a movie which is about a journey that is undertaken by this group of absolutely mad and fascinating characters, played by Nasiruddin Shah, Dimple Kapadia, Pankaj Kapoor, Deepika Padukone, Arjun Kapoor. And it's a road journey that they take in order to find the lost love of Nasiruddin Shah. That's what this movie is about. But what makes it so brilliant is each character and the quirkiness and the oddities of the characters and their interaction with each other, which is simply fabulous. And Homi Ajania is such a wonderful filmmaker, and there's so much of freshness, not just in his subjects that he chooses, but even in the approach with which he makes his movies. And Finding Fanny is no exception to that. It's a wonderfully enjoyable movie. Brilliant performances by the entire cast: Nasiruddin, Dimple Kapadia, Deepika Padukone, Arjun Kapoor, And of course Pankaj Kapoor, who is as always brilliant. So it's a must watch. It's a fantastic movie, so enjoyable and so brilliantly quirky. Finding Fanny, just in case you missed it out when it was first released, you can catch it on one of the OTT channels. It's also available on DVD. I've seen it on DVD. I didn't see it on the big screen, unfortunately. I've seen it on DVD and it's quite easily available. So do watch it if you've missed it. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie, Finding Fanny. So these were my 10 underrated movies of 2000 and beyond. I'd like to continue making videos on underrated movies. I'll probably do that every alternate video of mine or do it quite frequently. But from the next time on, I would like to extend the era, not just restrict it to 2000 and beyond. And I'd like to talk about a few underrated movies from the earlier century, from uh, from the 70s or 80s, 90s, or even earlier than that. And because there are so many movies from that period as well, which are wonderful films, but sadly we missed out by most people. So I will talk about such films in the future, and I hope that this particular video has encouraged you to watch at least a few of the movies that I've mentioned here, in case you haven't watched them earlier. Fortunately, most of the movies that I've mentioned here are available on OTT or YouTube. And if not, as in the case of maybe one or two movies, they are available on DVD. So you can definitely watch them. And do let me know what you think of them. Till the next time, bye for now.